Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we'll return with round 11 of season 2 of the F1 24 My Team career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the Austrian Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the last video that went live at the end of last week from Spain, I would highly recommend going back and checking out. I apologise that there's been no videos so far this week on the channel. Anyone that stopped around on Tuesday night to watch co-op will know that EA have completely broken the game mode. You cannot do co-op races right now for some reason inside F1 24. So Gary and I, are rather limited with the content we can do in that series. And I wonder why he's going back to F1 23. But of course, we can still do races in this series, however. So yeah, we're going to be back today ready for the only European sprint weekend of the year here in the Styrian Mountains. Taking a look at the championship, we are just 13 points back now from Oscar Piastri in P9. Hamilton building up a small buffer over Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen there, with still 4 drivers from 4 different teams inside your top 4. Alonso, of course, having a really good race last time out, taking the victory at his home Grand Prix in Barcelona. But yeah, 2 opportunities to try and score points this weekend. We are getting very close to obviously being able to hopefully hire a new driver, hence why we've got $10 million currently in cash reserves within the team. If we can't hire anyone else, I guess we'll just spend all that money on facilities. Get yourselves subscribed as well. We're trying to hit 5k subs here on the channel at the moment, and yeah, let's do this thing. But as we head out into qualifying then here from the Styrian Mountains, let's just see how we get on this weekend. Of course, we barely were able to clutch up a couple of points last time out in Barcelona, so I'm hoping we can have a little bit of a better run of form this weekend. Austria, though, this track is certainly one where we've had a lot of bad luck, to be honest, inside F1 24. Haven't really had many good races around this venue, but pretty much all of them have kind of been not through lack of pace, just something else kind of out of anywhere has really come and screwed us here. I mean, a couple of times we've ended up in, well, most times, we've ended up in crashes with other cars. I'm hoping this weekend we don't get our 4th mechanical failure of the season. If we could avoid that, that would be absolutely fantastic as well. But yeah, sprint qualifying though, so first lap we are opting for the medium compound, as Charles Leclerc certainly isn't. So this is just much more of a banker than anything else. Thread our way then down through the final couple of corners, trying to open up this circuit as best as we can. Open up the DRS up towards the line, it's going to be a 104.4. We go last. Well, all hope is not lost then as we try and make our way back out onto the circuit. Luckily, of course, Iwasa was always going to end up going slower than me anyway. And now we're going to be able to utilise the full pace of the car with a soft compound run right towards the end there. This is going to be a last-ditch effort to try and bring ourselves up the order. I feel like, often now in this game, we're kind of qualifying between sort of like P12 and P16. You know, what you would normally expect to kind of be Q2 times around most of these venues, and honestly I think with the car performance we've got at the moment, I'm quite happy with that, so I'm hoping we can try and repeat that today then. Of course, it is a short track, so much of the lap early on is dominated by these straights, and that was not a good line down into the braking zone as well there, so throwing away a couple of tenths here or there early on, but this should hopefully be where the lap really does come alive for us, and not expecting to get close to Leclerc or anything like that, as we just dip a wheel in the gravel as well, down at the end of Sector 2, 3.5 tenths up though, to make our way in towards the final couple of corners. Oh, we're really struggling with understeer. The car does not want to bite through that second to last corner, does through the final one though. 3.5 tenth improvement up towards the line, P16. It was pretty much at the bottom of where I'd kind of take as acceptable. Well, there we go. Charles Leclerc takes pole position then here after a couple of terrible weekends for him. And Lewis Hamilton, of course, the other championship contender, all the way down in P8 ahead of his teammate George Russell. So we line up 16th. We were 8 tenths off. I mean, I think had we nailed it, we could have been sort of around, your Ocons and your Albons. But I think scoring points in the sprint is going to be rather difficult.
Forget pit stops, forget fuel management. It's pedal to the metal all the way here as we get ready for today's sprint. 7 rights and just 3 left-handers make up the 10 corners of this high-speed circuit. Turn 2 is flat out, a left-hand kink into the uphill braking zone of Turn 3. Turns 1, 3 and 4 are all potential opportunities to overtake. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. Fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole. And the smooth operator, Carlos Sainz, completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Norris, Perez, Fernando Alonso, Oscar Piastri, Verstappen, Hamilton, Russell, Stroll, Tsunoda, Ocon, Albon, Gasly, Bottas, Mr. Monaco, Ricciardo, Sargent, Hulkenberg, Teo Porcher, Joe, and Ayumu Iwasa. And with preparations almost complete, let's head trackside for today's sprint. Welcome to the commentary box. I'm Alex Jakes. Alongside me is Anthony Davidson. So a sprint race today, and that means lights to flag, no stops. And how is that going to affect the driver behind the wheel?
Absolutely. So for today, there's no pit stop, or shouldn't be a pit stop anyway, if things go right, and you can forget about strategy. You're just driving today as fast as you can, make those overtakes if you need to, and that's what a sprint weekend's all about.
Well, here we are then, down on the grid, starting P16, ready for the Austrian Sprint, and, well, it looked like there could be a slim chance of rain in this one. That doesn't seem to be happening, just gets a bit more cloudy, although admittedly already it is looking rather ominous around the venue. But yeah, we've got our work cut out today if we want to try and score some points. I think we're going to need a bit of luck, to be completely honest. It is 5 red lights, though, down on the grid. And it's going to be lights out, and away we go there. Bottas getting away like a scolded cat, ready for this 12-lap shorter run there. So does Logan Sargent, so we're going to try and find an opportunity around the outside of a couple of drivers there. We're going to try and see if we can follow Bottas through. Here, plenty of contact on the inside of that first corner, but we have made it through then, and straight up into P14. As Gasly will try and have a look back for a move on myself there. How is everyone going to handle and behave up the top of the hill? Looks like we've all been pretty good there, as Hamilton has really dropped back off the start of this one. I believe it's still Ferrari 1-2. Well, I can only assume it's going to be Verstappen chasing them down there, as Hamilton now trying to go back on the offensive. We're going to get dived by Gasly. Tiny bit of wheel-to-wheel banging, but luckily we just spotted him there and was able to steer out the corner about as much as I needed to. As I mean, Albon and Gasly, they're just trying to dive each other everywhere on this opening lap. Hamilton goes the long way around Tsunoda just in front as well, but a lot of chaos early on. Which Ferrari is it then leading the way at the end of lap 1? Is it Charles Leclerc? Is it Carlos Sainz? It is going to be Leclerc, so yeah, looking good to carve out some of that gap that Hamilton's built up in the championship.
This lap, we can use DRS when you're within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone.
And I think for us, it's going to depend on how well Tsunoda can keep up with Lewis Hamilton in front of him. You can already see we're going to try and go on the attack with the DRS here. Esteban Ocon aware of me. Late on the brakes there around the outside. No, he's going to go down the inside of Bottas. We kind of have to jump out the way to avoid him. Almost 3 wide, but we live to tell the tale. I mean, there has never been a track where DRS is just so critical as it is here in Spielberg. I mean, yeah, 3 DRS zones back to back is absolute insanity. And I mean, you can see already the runners at the top of the field just bunching up. I think Ferrari, you know, maybe they've got to try and pull out a little bit of trickery here to try and keep everyone else at bay. But yeah, Alonso, Verstappen, everybody else, there's so many drivers this year that fancy their chances at the crown. And Hamilton as well, waiting in the wings. He's at the back of that group. But any points here would be a decent result. Oh, here we go. Bottas this time around then, trying to have a look around the outside of Yuki. I think this is going to be where our battle is going to be until the end of the sprint. I mean, yeah, Bottas, he weirdly always does well here in Austria, I've noticed in the last couple of F1 games. And today he's having an absolute day of it.
Take button and see what you can do.
Oh, I wanted to have a look down the inside of Ocon, but that corner and turn 1 at Brazil, they are probably my 2 weakest corners in the game when it comes to trying to get past the AI, as Gasly behind me hasn't stayed in the DRS range, but has opened up the gap over everybody else further back. He is kind of having a lonely time of it. Oh, Tsunoda surely not back into turn 1. It is just non-stop action early on in the sprint race there as well. Bottas gets the elbows out. Can we try to utilize this to capitalize? Somehow neither Bottas or Tsunoda has got the DRS here. Oh, we just... Whoa, hello.
Great pass.
We just about got in front of Ocon there. We tried to slot into the left-hand side of Bottas. He went absolutely not happening, mate. So we kind of ended up in the gravel there. And oh, I mean, what is this? The AI, they're not afraid to get the elbows out in this series, it would appear. So try and have a look right the way around the outside of Ocon. Not able to pull off that one again. This is ridiculous. Are we going to see Tsunoda try it again then as we get to... We're half distance in a sprint race. And it feels like I basically haven't stopped talking up to this point. There is Bottas again. We'll try to defend, and this time round Tsunoda should get the run of him off the corner. We've still got Ocon in the way as well. That Alpine is mighty quick when it wants to be in a straight line there. As we thought about having a look to the outside of Tsunoda, not quite got the braking performance. We will get the double overtake done on Bottas and Ocon though. So into P12, and so, I mean, Bottas again is trying to look for it. It's all McLaren in front runs off. That's Oscar Piastri making another mistake. Oh, don't do that. That's what I always do here. I drop it on the throttle there, and then I go and bin it. Tell you what then, we seem to have the Alpines battling behind us.
5 seconds.
That's the closest Yubu's ever's going to be to me in a race apparently, and still somehow he's dropped out of the DRS of every other car here. But yes, we are just trying to keep up. Bottas and I both losing ground to Tsunoda at this stage of the day. I mean, it's so great to see the Flying Finn getting his elbows out inside this series. As round the outside will go though, up the top of the hill. I think Tsunoda has still got his eyes on the cars in front. But if ever there's been something we're good at in this game, it is trying to maximise the result of the car, beating every other car you would expect to beat. Well, we've got to be very, very careful in where we try and time this run on Yuki Tsunoda. We've only got a couple more laps to go, but we've got to make sure that we've got the battery that if I get round him, that we can afford to stay ahead of him as well. There is trying to make gains up towards the top of the hill. Not quite going to be close enough that time. I tell you what, that V-carb has got some legs on it in a straight line. It is mighty quick so far, and it's not a car exactly I would expect to say that about. So try and get a run on Tsunoda down the hill. He's going to try and move a little bit defensive. We'll try and open up the corner as best as we can. Not able to do anything that time around. Well, I believe it's Max Verstappen that's been able to split the Ferraris at the front of the running order. But as we start the last lap then of this Grand Prix, it looks like it could be anybody's game still for the win here. And this is just what Austria does, both IRL and inside F1 24.
Final lap.
It leaves you with battles constantly that take you down to the wire. I can see why this place is continued to host sprint races in Formula 1, but will we be able to get one more run on Yuki Tsunoda here? He's going to try and go defensive on me. That Visa logo getting bigger and bigger as we make our way up the hill there, but can we go the long way around, just dropping it ever so slightly over the curbs. We've got the DRS though, we've got the traction off the corner, and we are now through and up into P11 then of this GP. Bottas as well trying to have a look for it just behind me here, so who's going to be able to keep hold of it between those two? If anything, this just gives us a golden opportunity to try and run away in this sprint there. As I think Bottas, yeah, he has pulled it off. So Valtteri Bottas in that Sauber having a flyer. But Ferrari then, I could not tell you which one of them it is at the moment. In towards the final couple of corners. Will it be Leclerc that takes points out of Hamilton in the World Championship? Yes, it is. Charles Leclerc back on top. Max Verstappen P2. Sainz comes through for P3. And we'll take an 11th place finish. Well, there we go. Leclerc takes the win, but it was not Max Verstappen in P2. It was Sergio Perez who goes from 4th on the grid there to P2 come the checkered flag. Sainz ends up P3 ahead of Alonso and Lando Norris there. But yeah, the Dutchman beating out Russell and Lewis Hamilton. So I believe that's probably your top 8 in the championship, picking up all of the sprint race points here. That means gap at the top cut down to just 10 points there. Verstappen could be about to fall behind Alonso in the championship as well. As I mean, yeah, between the Dutchman in P3 and Perez in 7th, 12 points in it as we get ready for the Grand Prix proper. Constructors-wise, it is Ferrari now with a 7-point lead over Mercedes once again, so that one continues to chop and change. But yeah, we've got the main event ahead of us. Before that, we've got qualifying, though. But with changeable conditions apparent on Sunday, this could be critical.
Hello everyone, welcome to Austria. It is a short track, it is high speed, it is exactly what we enjoy for qualifying.
And here we are then back ready for another qualifying session. I made a few tweaks to the car, which will hopefully make it a little bit stronger over both one lap and in race pace. They're just a little bit more wing angle. You know, we know how potent the DRS is around here, so we can just have a little bit more stick through the corners. That's where we were really struggling against Sonoda throughout most of the sprint race yesterday.
We've dropped to P22.
But yeah, needs to try and get the laps hooked up this time round as well. You know, that one lap qualifying session, there was definitely a few mistakes left on the run. So if we can just try and make sure, you know, it is a short lap here, so you are trying to get every possible bit out of the car. But of course, yeah, even in this real qualifying session, we've only got the 2 sets of tyres. So you don't get many chances if you get it wrong. Also, got to really try and make sure we use up all of our battery on this lap. 7th gear. Oh, we just about can leave it in 7th there through the penultimate corner. I think we'll probably want 6th to get the drive off of it. Bit of a mistake through the final turn as well. So 104.2. That's a big improvement over what we saw in the sprint. But we still only end up P17. And is everybody starting their final lap then here in qualifying? Lando Norris currently top of the board then. And it really does look like everybody's times have continued to tumble here. It is going to be about trying to utilise that battery in the most effective places. And trying to make sure you get the most bang for your buck out of it as well there. Tack the curbs nicely off through turn 1. A little bit of a wobble on the exit, but we gather it up nicely. And then try and use the battery all the way up into 8th gear. Up towards the top of the hill. Like, give yourselves that slingshot as we go purple through the first sector this time. So that's looking pretty good. Open up the DRS again over the top of the hill. This time around, we're only going to use it up into 7th gear there because it's not as long a run before you're back on the anchors at the 100-meter board. So difficult to drag that car into the apex, but we did a good job that time round. As Sainz now, could we see Ferrari get a front row lockout for both the sprint and the real Grand Prix there? Don't try to hit the gravel as Leclerc now. He is going to make it a Ferrari 1-2. Have Red Bull and Max Verstappen got any answer to Ferrari's pace? Lando Norris certainly does. The McLaren driver back on top as we'll send it through that penultimate corner, through the last one as well. There, little bit of extra curb usage on the exit, 3/10 up. It's going to put us P15. So at least we're consistent, I guess. And I'm happy I dipped into the 103s. There we go then. Lando Norris storms to pole position here. Verstappen does get the jump on the Ferraris. So clearly McLaren and Red Bull just hit a little bit of their pace in the sprint there. Lewis Hamilton looking a bit more racy as well. Yeah, the Yuki Tsunoda gets himself inside the top 10. Tough qualifying session for Lance Stroll a bit further back. But that provides opportunity for everyone then as we head into the real GP. Especially with how crazy the weather's meant to look.
Good afternoon and welcome to Spielberg and to a circuit that in one form or the other has held every Austrian Grand Prix in the championship except the very first back in 1964. It was at this race that John Watson lost a bet and his beard when he took Team Penske's only F1 victory in 1976. If anything, the stakes are even higher today, with 25 points available for victory and a crucial advantage in the championship fight. 7 rights and just 3 left-handers make up the 10 corners of this high-speed circuit. Turn 2 is flat out, a left-hand kink into the uphill braking zone of Turn 3. Turns 1, 3 and 4 are all potential opportunities to overtake. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Lando Norris will lead us away from pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Oscar Piastri, Sainz, Hamilton, Perez, Fernando Alonso, Russell, Tsunoda, Ricciardo, Gasly, Albon, Stroll, Mr. Monaco, Bottas, Teo Porcher, Ocon, Hulkenberg, Joe, Sargent and Ayumu Iwasa. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. Welcome to the commentary box. I'm Alex Jakes. Alongside me is Anthony Davidson. Now, those final hours before a race, did you have a routine?
Well, for them, you've got your pre-race rituals that you go through. You see different drivers that, some have got their headphones on, they're listening to the music. Some drivers really absorb the energy from the crowd and they're there waving to them. Other drivers, they go within themselves. They chat to their engineers, absorbing that information, that vital information that you need to carry you through the race. And, those pre-race rituals are essential to making things systematic. We do a lot of Grand Prix in a season, and the more systematic you can be, the easier you are within that environment.
Well, here we are then down on the grid, ready for the Austrian GP. 36 laps ahead of us. And take a look at that. It starts out dry. It is meant to get wet. In the pre-race predictions, it was actually meant to get stormy before it gets dry again towards the end of the afternoon. Often inside this game, we do see the rain rock up even earlier than it's predicted. So I think that could be the case today. So I'm going to opt to stay on a set of the medium compound tyres. Try to drag them as far as we can, or go for an early stop either onto a set of softs or another set of mediums. But yeah, I think we're going to see a switch to inters today, and then maybe a switch back as well. But yeah, this is one of those races where anything can happen. It is 5 red lights down on the grid. And it's going to be lights out, and away we go. The reactions of a sloth by myself, as Bottas will say thank you very much, and even say a Porsche. Try and have a look in towards that first corner. We're going to try and have a look around the outside of the Aston Martin of Lance Stroll and get that one pulled off pretty simply as well then. So the Canadian all the way down to P16. His teammate won the last Grand Prix in this series, so immediately he's going to come back at me up towards the top of the hill. I'm going to force him to the inside there as there's plenty of contact between the three in front, and, well, fair play to him, he's pulled it off. And Stroll there getting the elbows out and actually working for him this time round, as Lando Norris bolting away into an early lead at the front of the field as well there. But yeah, Gasly, Bottas, everybody just tripping each other over on lap 1.
It's okay, now stay alert for threats around you.
We did lose the 1 place once again to the Flying Finn, but yeah, we've kept out of trouble for the most part. Trying to be a little bit less aggressive on some of these starts on this game, because often it doesn't end that well for me. As look at already on the mini-map, the lead Lando Norris has got, we're only on lap 1. Well, immediately I'm just noticing how that little bit higher front wing angle is affecting us, just making it a little bit more difficult. Helped when Bottas brakes early at the top of the hill, but you can see immediately then he's going to try and come back at us down the other side there. Are we going to be able to get later on the brakes? We'll send it in. Luckily that time around we'll get it slowed down into the corner. So back to where we started then. Bottas's progress. He's a very good starter apparently in this game now. But yeah, that kick Sauber is still a bit of a dog. Oh, we've got to try and make moves early on, get into a rhythm of making the overtakes here. Because like I said, yeah, I think this afternoon there is a real good opportunity to score some points. Never going to be able to make moves, though, down in towards turn 3 reliably, unless the AI haven't got DRS in front. But, yeah, I mean, we've just got to really settle in here. Make sure we're hitting our apexes, making sure we're consistent with our lines. Let's take a look at the weather.
We think we might see some rain. ETA, about 15 minutes. Dries definitely seem like the fastest tyre at the moment.
Well, no duh they do, Mark. Yeah, definitely still a while out for the rain. You can see, I mean, look at that back towards turn 1.
By 3.3 seconds.
Looks like Awas has already dropped off the rear of the field, but everybody else is still incredibly bunched up. There is one gap, I think, between Tsunoda and I believe it might be Alonso in front of him. There's definitely a little bit more bumping and barging now. I think everybody, there you go. Everybody just sensing an opportunity to fight for this final points-paying position. There's Alex Albon now, and the Williams will move up into it. They're going to try and get the run then on a couple of other drivers wherever possible. As we get around Pierre Gasly there in the Alpine. Look at that, 3 wide between the V-Carbs and the Williams. Oh, there's plenty of contact. That's not what you wanted to do, lads, at the top of the hill. Somehow all of them will get away with it. We'll swoop around the outside of Lance Stroll. You can see now Ricciardo and Albon left with no DRSs. Oh, what's going on? Wow, Tsunoda there aggressively covered off from his teammate. We'll get down the inside of Danny Rick as well at the same time. Can we try and go the long way around? Not quite got the grip. What a crazy 45-50 seconds of Formula 1 that was. Here we go, Daniel Ricciardo now, I think is probably going to try and get the move on his teammate Yuki Tsunoda. So we make our way back up the hill, then Tsunoda's going to try and go defensive. He'll switch back towards the racing line there right at the last moment. So just doesn't allow me to get the switch back on the pair of them. We will still get the run on Daniel Ricciardo there as Tsunoda is going to try and again go defensive on another car. Might be difficult for us to find the grip the long way around, and again...
Nice move. Good job.
Oh, we almost dropped it there into the, across the nose of Danny Rick. But yeah, Tsunoda hangs on this time. Come on then, Yuki. Can't defend it for too many laps, buddy. Otherwise, you're going to run yourself out of battery. There is, a chess element to racing here in Austria. As we're really trying to squeeze him down on that apex there. Get the power down on the exit of the corner. I do wish the AI were a little bit stronger off of turn 3 there. They seem to be really, really weak. Always to try and put the power down. But then again, they're so OP around other parts of the lap. It's a bit peculiar. But this place still, is probably the best inside the F1 game for just constant battles. Oh, we've got yellow flags out. Someone's got issues. I think that's Fernando Alonso. Alonso bringing out the yellow flags then. So this could certainly change things up as Daniel Ricciardo tries to have a look down the inside on myself through the final couple of corners. And yeah, Alonso, mechanical failure for the Spaniard. And after the win last weekend, maybe you would think he's got a championship threat for the rest of the year. Nope, immediately Aston Martin and Mercedes power units say absolutely not. As we are now tucked into battle once again with Daniel Ricciardo. And I think unless you're Lando Norris at the front or Yumo Asu at the rear, you're not really kind of getting any chance to breathe at this stage.
Rain soon. Expect the first drops in the next few minutes.
Team's still worried about how soon that rain is going to appear, as once again we'll outdrag the Australian. A safety car then could have been race defining. Oh no, here comes Ricciardo and Alex Albon. Where's the Williams come from? And all of this is, I think, Tsunoda now. He's going to try and make it 3 wide as well at the top of the hill. We'll try and keep it inside track limits somehow. Even over the curbing, we will still get the power down as well. I think Yuki's got front wing damage. So not too sure what's happened to him. But of course, with Alonso out of the Grand Prix and now doubles the opportunities for backmarkers to score points. Stroll, though, is slowly moving his way back towards the top 10. Alex Albon is probably the best car to lead this train at the moment because, he's just able to have that little bit extra straight line speed, which means that you can't get as hassled by the cars behind us. Oh, there we go. The rain has arrived, and it is meant to fall pretty heavily here, as Tsunoda still hanging out there with his front wing damage, so he's opened up a bit of a gap a little bit further behind as well. Maybe things just started to simmer down as we cross over 1/3 distance. But this rain is meant to come in pretty quick.
Still happy that we're on the right tyres at the moment.
I don't think it's going to be long before we need to make the switch here. Maybe only another couple of laps, but you can already see everybody feeling like they've got to tiptoe just a little bit. The grip is still there, though. Oh, okay. A Yumu
in the pits. A Yumu is in the pits now.
Well, I don't know whether he's going to Inters or whether this was just his pit-in lap, but I think we're going to dive in at the end of this one. I'd rather be slightly too early than slightly too late to the wet tyres. As all Albon and I kind of met in the middle there at the top of the hill, and there we go. DRS has been disabled. So this does present an opportunity for our teammate there, and I believe Logan Sargent.
Disabled by the stewards. DRS will be offline. Wait for further updates.
So as one Williams and 1-2-2 Motorsport car fight for the points, the other one is trying to come back out. Oh, and gather us data there as how many kicks of oversteer did we get there? The car still wants to try and pull to one side as Lando Norris dives it in. Stroll seems to just have a little bit more grip than me as well, as we make our way down in towards the final few corners, just slipping and sliding way too much.
It's the way to go now. We're seeing standing water on the track, and I don't see it drying out anytime soon.
No, this rain is meant to get worse and worse. We might see a switch to full wet. So you just see everybody struggling to make their way into the pit lane. I feel like the FIA might have a little bit of leniency with that. Into the pits we go. Make sure I don't get done for speeding, as every single car up in front is going to peel in, but there's quite a few cars opting to stay out there just one more lap as well, so a lot of teams are reluctant to double stack. And has this presented an opportunity to Owasa and to Logan Sargent?
To the race. Perfect job from you and the crew there, mate. We're delighted with that. Okay, stay clear of the white line on the exit. We'll receive a penalty for dangerous driving if you cross onto the track.
And look at that, Sargent has got the jump, so magnificent job done by Williams there with the early call for the American. He's now immediately fighting what will effectively be points. Owasa as well has gained quite a lot. He's been given a second chance in this race. But I want to see how quickly we close in on the likes of Hulkenberg and co. Oh, and issues for Gasly as well then. So things just getting more and more difficult for the Alpine driver. I believe he did pit though. I believe it was Ocon that opted to stay out there. As yeah, these intermediates starting to work really nicely for us. I did really and ah about whether it would be worth diving in one lap earlier. I thought better of it. As yeah, those final few cars making their way through the pit lane. I didn't realise one of the Mercs, Ferraris and Red Bulls had opted to stay out as well. As you can just see Sargent struggling to keep up with the pace of his teammate. He is going to temporarily move himself up inside the top 10. It'll be quite cool to see the American score some points. So Albon's gone! Albon in the wall! What on earth is that? Alex Albon there, just as soon as he was building up a gap, and that might well be a safety car in this Grand Prix. Apparently not, so Logan Sargent now promoted to best of the rest here, as Albon just dropped it over that outside curb, clatters the Armco. He's not even out of the Grand Prix somehow. How on earth has Albon survived that one? Oh, come on, Sargent is really starting to slow us down at the moment. I'm worried if we don't get round and the likes of Stroll and Bottas are just going to be waiting in the wings to try and get past the pair of us. No DRS, of course, now. So it does mean we've got to try and beat him on pure straight line speed, which we will. Now we've got 8 seconds up to Russell. I'm not convinced we're going to be quicker than the Merc, but I would like to just build up a little bit of a buffer. A little bit of a safety net to those cars behind, just in case we see a switch to other tyres. As immediately, though, Stroll is going to make the move work on Logan as well. So the Canadian, still in hot pursuit of myself. But it depends whether it keeps raining anymore. I don't think it is. The rain looks pretty stable at the moment. I think the other question here is really, how long will it stay out like this? Will we see a switch back to dries before the end? I'm not convinced, so it might be a case of you've got to look after the tyre a little bit. That being said, though, the intermediate here should last pretty much forever. Which, based on those numbers, I think it will.
Stay for a while. Doesn't look like it's moving on anytime soon.
Thank you, Mark. That was genuinely useful information for a change. Well, as we get to 2/3 distance, then, we might be in for quite a lonely end to this race, to be honest. We haven't got the pace over Russell, to the surprise of probably no one. We have got this pace over Stroll, though. Again, probably to the surprise of nobody here. So we're kind of just racing into no man's land towards the end of the GP. I'll take it. 2 points is 2 points when all is said and done, if we can walk home with this. But yeah, unless someone else has an accident or something, you know, falls off the road or we get a safety car or a red flag, this might be quite an anticlimactic end. Oh, we got yellows. We got yellows. Someone's gone off. Someone surely has got problems here. I believe it's a V-carb. Could be Daniel Ricciardo towards the end of the afternoon. And he's going to break down at exactly the same spot we saw Alonso did.
Okay, it looks like the problem's terminal. They're retiring the car.
Well, a VSC wasn't exactly what I was hoping for. I wanted something to make this race a bit more exciting than that. Well, we saw earlier on just how lucky Alex Albon was to end up not retiring from this Grand Prix, but it's not often inside this game. Even when I had my mighty Ferrari of last season in the driver career mode, yeah, it's not often that we're actually able to lap cars inside this game, so I've got to showcase it every time I can. Alex Albon, yeah, certainly not a day to write home about, but we're going to lap someone in F1 24 in this car of all things. I'm trying to think, I don't think I ever lapped anybody last season in the Ferrari in the driver career mode. And as we start the last lap then of the Austrian Grand Prix, Lando Norris. I don't know for sure whether McLaren have won a race this season, but he has absolutely been in control all afternoon today. The McLaren driver, he loves this circuit. He often does really, really well around here. And yeah, maybe he's going to get redemption for the way the real-life Grand Prix ended a few weeks ago. And surely now, as he rounds his way through the final couple of turns, McLaren, Lando, they're back in the title fight. Leclerc, Hamilton, Verstappen, Alonso. We've said it about so many drivers so far this year. 5 teams have won Grand Prix in the first half of this campaign. Lando Norris, like I said, I don't know if he's won one prior to now or not, but he is going to claim the victory here in Spielberg. For us, though, ultimately, I don't think we can ever complain about scoring 2 points in this car, but I was kind of hoping, you know, this race would be a little bit more exciting. But as we round our way then through the final couple of turns, it is going to be P9 come the checkered flag there. I think we can be pretty proud of that one. Carved our way through, built up a margin of safety. It's 2 hard-earned, well-earned points.
All right, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
What a way to head to victory! Lando Norris takes the win!
They led from lights out to the flag at the end, and their race victory was never in doubt, was it? Brilliant stuff by them.
Our drivers are making their way out for the podium celebrations, and it's going to be McLaren picking up the winner's trophy. Congratulations to the entire team for that fantastic performance.
There we go, Lando Norris takes the victory here in Spielberg. Max Verstappen, though, admittedly was chasing him down towards the end of the afternoon. The Dutchman, haven't seen him win many races this season, but still his brutal consistency continues to help him out there. Hamilton, a decent recovery, especially after a terrible sprint there, to finish just 0.2 of a second behind his main title rival in Charles Leclerc, with Oscar Piastri, Sainz, Russell, Perez, and myself and Lance Stroll rounding out the top 10 there. I feel like Bottas deserved a point this weekend, and I'll be honest, he's one driver that I am targeting at the midway point of the season there. Hamilton now, his gap at the top has been cut down to just 7 points over Leclerc, but Verstappen, Norris, Sainz, Alonso, and Perez all waiting not too far behind there. We continue to open up the gap over Lance Stroll as well, so I don't think we can complain. And constructors-wise, Ferrari, they got a 14-point buffer over Mercedes. Red Bull only 40 points off the top as well, so it is still everybody's to play for in both title fights as well. But thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns ready for the British Grand Prix.